Today we are going to create a game like this. Okay, we will not finish the entire game, but we will just work on the design aspects. Okay, so if you see, you have an aeroplane down at the bottom, okay, which can move left and right using my keyboard. Okay, so right arrow for moving to the right, left arrow for moving to the left, and then if I press the space bar, you see it blasts out a bullet. Okay, so it will shoot. So every time I press space bar, it shoots a bullet, and you will also see up here we have the ammo. Okay, so we have a fixed amount of ammo, so we have only 20 in the beginning. So every time I shoot, you see this number is going to reduce. Okay, so now it became 17, right? And every time it hits a spaceship, okay, it is going to increase our score also. So if I press space bar and it hits something, it becomes 4, and this becomes 16. Now let's see if I can okay, so you see now I lost 2 bullets, so the ammo got less numbers, but my score did not increase. Okay, so this is the game. So out of 20 bullets, let's see how many we can hit. So that's lost. Okay, 1 there. Okay, so you see only 3 bullets left, and my score is 13. And you can see that some spaceships are moving fast and some of them are moving slow, so they are actually on a random speed. Okay, so here is our score, 16 out of 20. Okay, so with 20 bullets we managed to fire 16 of them, and once it is done we have an option to play again. So if I click play again, it gets resetted to 20, and again we have our score to be 0. So I can again shoot. Okay, so what you will do is you will take the same concept, okay, and you're going to make different designs for the entire game. Okay, so instead of an aeroplane, if you want, you can make a tank, or you can make a gun, okay, or maybe a person who's holding a gun. Okay, so anything like that. And for spaceships, instead of spaceships, you can create something like maybe birds flying, or maybe if you remember an old game called Duck Hunt. Okay, so there is a person who's with a gun, and there's ducks that will be flying around, and we have to shoot the ducks. So you can choose what kind of design that you want, okay, and you need to design all these different stuff. Okay, so today we are just going to focus on the designing part of creating this game. So let me close this for now, and I'll show you how the scene is actually. And if I go to my timeline, so you see we have just 3 different layers here. Okay, so one layer is just for action script. There's nothing happening here, so we have a huge big action script here explaining everything that's going to happen. Okay, and we also have some other action scripts which are in an external file. Okay, I'll show you that in a minute. Let me just bring this back here. Okay, so if I go to the project folder where I have this game, let me show this for you. Okay, so you see this is our shooting game, and we have different external action scripts. So these are all Animate action scripts, but they are outside of the file. So if I just, for example, open this font, this is for movie clip bullet, and it has some codes here, and the code is linked to this file called shootinggame.fla. So this is our project file, and this project file shootinggame.fla, so that external script is connected to this. So every time this game is being run, it is going to take the content from these different files and process them to show us the final interactive game. Okay, so now let's look at the other elements that we have in the scene. So we have one layer just for the end screen, so that's the end screen, which basically shows game over. And if you want to show other information here, you can have animation here, you can do whatever fancy stuff that you want to do. And we also have a button, and this is all inside a movie clip. So if I just double click on that, you will see we have a MC end screen movie clip. Okay, so if I select this, we have the button here. So this is an button which is going to act as a way to reset the game to start over again. But I said it is a button, but you will notice that it is actually a movie clip. So it's a movie clip which is being made into an interactive button in this case. Okay, so let me just go back one more step. So that's our second layer, and then finally we have one layer for the flight. So here is our airplane. So instead of this airplane, you can create anything else that you like a person with a gun, or maybe just a gun, or a tank, or a different type of airplane. That's totally up to you. So if I zoom in a bit by pressing the Control and plus button, so you can see that we have this movie clip. So if I just double click on that, it says that it has the name gun, and it is just a drawing. Okay, nothing else. So instead of this, you can have any kind of design that you like. Okay, so you put the design inside this movie clip symbol, and that's it. So let me just come out of that, and we also have other movie clips. So if you go to the library, you don't see those content here. Okay, one more thing, that's our text here. Okay, so the text is it's not just a regular text, but rather it's a dynamic text. Okay, because it needs to change its content over the runtime. When we run the game, it needs to change the content. So that is why instead of a normal text, we have a dynamic text. And we have another one here that is for showing the number of ammo. So this will reduce its value, and this will increase its value using the action script. Okay, and the last one that we have is not in our scene, which is in the library. So if I go to the library, I will be able to see this is our gun, which we have placed here, and we also have bullet. Okay, and we have the end screen, which is the symbol here, and we have enemies, we have explosion, and play again is the same symbol that we saw here. Okay, so if I go here, if I go inside enemy, for example, I double click on that, you will see not just one enemy, but we will have lots of them. So they're all inside one movie clip symbol, but they are actually in different frames. Okay, so what happens is the action script will actually take this one movie clip and show different frames in different time with different location in a random way. Okay, so what happens is we are able to grab different enemies for different playbacks. So from the right side, we will play the first one. From the left side, the second one will come from and with a little different speed, the third one will come, and so on and so forth. So this will be randomized using the script, action script. You don't have to think anything about it. It's going to happen using the script by itself. And if you look at the explosion again, if I double click, you will be able to see that this is basically a simple keyframe animation. So we start with a small explosion, and then just goes bigger, and then just goes like that. One important thing here is, like, say this bullet, for example, it is outside the scene. We don't see that in the scene. But when you design it, you need to be careful that it is going to maintain the size proportion. Okay, you cannot create the bullet to be big like this. Wait, where do you go? Yes, you cannot create the bullet so big like this. Okay, it cannot be bigger than the airplane. So you need to keep in mind the size when you create these different stuff. Okay, so I'm going to take a new file now. I'll go to File, New, and let me just check what the size of this. So this is 550 by 400. So let's try to create the same size just to maintain consistency. So I'll take a new file. Let me go for the standard here, and I'll make this 550 by 400. And frame rate is going to be 24. Action script 3 is what we are going to use. Hit create. So I get a new file here. So let me save this again as shooting game. We can actually create a new folder here. Shooting game, hit OK. We'll name this as shooting game. Okay, so the file names has to match with the exact same one because we are going to use external links or external action script. Okay, so now let's start creating the shapes. So for example, I'm going to use the airplane design here. So what we can do is we can actually go to the internet, look for, let's say I'll create a tank this time. Okay, now even if we create different shapes, okay, we need to make sure that we use the same name that is given in the action script. Okay, so let's say I can create a tank like this. Okay, but I need to use the same name as what we have used there. Okay, so we'll basically try to simplify the shape. So I'll keep this in my side screen and I'll try to create the same look. So also we need to know how much space that we have for this entire scene. Let me just make the entire background to be black. I can just take this guy, make this black, and draw from the top to the bottom. Or you could have actually used the background color, that's fine. Fill up this entire space. Okay, so now this is going to be our BG. Let's keep that down there. And next to that we are going to create, I can actually lock this as well. So this is where I want to create the tank. So for the tank I'm just going to use a rectangle here. And we will have a fill color of gray. Tank is going to look gray. So let me just scroll up here. So this is the exact size that we want. Let's say I want to create something like that. And I'll create one more shape that is going to be out here. Okay, and I'll actually copy this and paste it to bring it to the other side. So an easy way of creating a tank. And then maybe I'll just create some extra shapes here. Okay, let me just put them down here. I think this is our bottom line, so I think I'll have to get these guys a little bit up. Good. So I want to have some kind of a triangular shape right here inside that. So I'll create something like this. Okay, and I'm going to make a shape like this here, and I will just pull this over here, pull this over here, pull this over here, pull this over here, and then I can just create one shape that is going to go from the center outwards. If you're a little confused, you can actually use just another layer just to make sure that you're not going to intersect on this shape, or you can just draw it outside, double click, move this over here. Or you can also use the object mode to draw so that the objects will not merge with each other. So this is going to be our gun, right? So I'm going to select this. I'm going to convert this into a symbol. Okay, now when I convert this into a symbol, the name that I have to use has to be the same as what I have here. So I'll select this. You see, it's called MC gun, and this is the instance name for this. And I also need to check the name that is given here. For example, yeah, this is gun. Okay, so the symbol's name is gun and the instance name is MC gun. So I'm going to save this as, convert that symbol, and this is going to be called as gun. It's a movie clip symbol, everything else looks the same. Hit OK. Alright, so let's see, that's our symbol, and if I go to my properties here, we'll call this as MCGUN, and make sure you have given the exact name as it is here. Yes, MC is small letter, G is capital letter. Fine, so now that we have created the gun, let's create the enemies and the bullets. Okay, So the bullet in my case is going to be, it has to be small at this size. Okay, so let me just start with a rectangle here. Okay, something like that. Maybe it doesn't need to be that long, or let it be long because we need to make it visible. Okay, so only the top I'm going to bend. Okay, so I'll zoom in a bit more closer, and I'm going to go, I can actually select this selection tool. That'll just give me the access to bend this. Okay, or if you want, you can actually make it cornered as well. That's up to you. I'll just do it like this. Okay, and maybe I want to add a little bit of stylized look here. Or you can just draw one side and then duplicate to the other side as well. So that's totally up to you. Okay, now let me scale this entire thing down a bit. Okay, fine. I can also change the color to be a bit more brighter so that it would be a bit more visible. Okay, that looks good. Okay, any questions so far? Are you guys following, all of you? Okay, good. So now this one I'm going to convert to symbol. Usually when you convert to symbol, you will end up with a window like this. There's an advanced tab. If you turn that on, you will see more options. For now, we're not going to use that. If you have to add something called a class name for ActionScript, then we can use this. We can create that later as well. So now let's just go ahead and give a name to this. This is going to be called as bullet. Let me just confirm the exact name here. We can actually go to the library. Yeah, it's called MC Bullet. And we have the ActionScript linkage name here, so we'll call this as MC Bullet B capital. Okay, and if you see here, we have a linkage name. Okay, so same MC Bullet name is being given as the linkage name as well. So the linkage name is something that you can create by right-clicking on it, going to Properties. Okay, remember the same window. And if I go to the Advanced tab, and that's where we have the ActionScript linkage name. Okay, so which is also called as class name. So we can just leave that as it is because it takes the name from the name here. And now, and I hit OK here, I will see that linkage name as well. So at this point, you can actually save the file just to make sure that you don't lose anything. Okay, so one last thing that we have to create is, we'll skip the end screen for now. We can do that at the end. So we need to create two more stuff. One is our enemy spaceships, and the second one is going to be our explosion. So for creating the enemy spaceship, again, we need to keep the size into consideration. And because I've created this bullet here, I don't need the bullet here. I can delete this from my scene, but it will still be there in the library, and we can access it through the ActionScript. Okay, so next thing is creating the enemies. I think we can use something like this. Have a look. I think this one looks better. So it's like a face, and then it has some kind of antennae and some hands and legs. Okay, so I'll try to create something like that. So let's see, we need to keep in mind the size. So this is the size of the tank. So the aliens that we create, or the enemies that we create, also should be almost in the same size. Okay, so I'm going to again start with a simple shape. I'll actually start with something like a polygon. Okay, so let me go to the properties here, and polygon, it's going to be, I will have 6 sides. Okay, so something like that, I think. Yep, no, something like that should be fine. Okay, and the size is going to be just that much. Okay, so let me zoom in a bit. And we don't have the stroke here. Now here's a little trick. Like when you create a shape which does not have stroke, you will not have the option to select a stroke here. Okay, so in that case, just like using the paint bucket tool to fill in a fill color, for example, you want to fill in with a different color like this, you can also go inside it and there's the ink bottle tool. Okay, so the ink bottle tool is basically going to take the stroke color. Okay, so let's say if I want to have, we have blue here, so let's say dark blue as the stroke color, I can pick it up and paint it here. So now we have the object with stroke. So I have the stroke here, I can adjust the stroke size and things like that. Okay, so the paint bucket tool basically gives you fill color and ink bottle tool gives you stroke color. All right, so now this is our base shape and I want to create some eyes. Okay, so one eye here, and I'll copy that, paste it. You can actually paste it on top of the same content by pressing Control, Shift, and V, then using the keyboard to move it around. Okay, so I actually want to create a double circle, double eye. I'll make this bigger. Yes, something like that. Okay. If you want, you can fill in another color inside this, but I'll just leave it as it is. Copy, paste in place, Control Shift V, and there it is. Now I can also move this guy a bit closer. Make this go up here and make this go up here. Okay, so that looks like a bit different shape, and I'm going to draw some shapes over here. So this is going to be the leg. Okay, and I can fill in a color. Okay, and I want to draw something similar to that here for the antennae. Let's say a straight line and something like that. Something that goes down. If you want, you can make it curvy, you can make it sharp. That's totally up to you. I want to fill in a color here again. Okay, if you want to fill in different colors as well, you are welcome to do so. Now, what I want is I want this area, okay, and this area to be copied to the other side. So I'll copy that and paste it, Control Shift V, and I want to mirror it to the other side. If I press Control T, we have some options here. Okay, so we get this little transform handles here, and I can just click on this little button that's going to mirror to the other side. Okay, so let me just use my arrow keys just to place him exactly where I want, and we're done. Okay, so if you want to do some more fancy stuff, you can. For example, I can just add a rectangle here, for example, drag like so. Okay, and instead of just a plain line, we can also have something like dotted strokes by going to color and styles here. Instead of just the straight line, we can have something like that, or we can have something like that, we can have something like that. So that's totally up to you. So whatever kind of design that you want to create. We can also have totally that one, I think this one, maybe let me see if I can edit the stroke, dot spacing. Let me see if I can increase that, decrease that. I should. More dots, 2 points, I think. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, so you can just design whatever kind of look that you want, and I think that size is fine for the size of the tank. And you can also give different colors. I think I'll make it a bit smaller, teeny tiny bit smaller. Make sure that you press shift key when you make it small. Okay, that looks fine. So I'm going to convert this into a symbol here, and this is going to be our enemy. Let me just check the name here just to make sure that we're using the right name. If I go to the library, so this is MC enemy, and same name here, MC small letter, E capital letter. So let's go back convert to symbol. It's a movie clip, MCENEMY. I think the spelling is correct. Hit OK. Let's just check that one more time. Go back here, ENEMY. That is correct. Okay, so that looks fine. So this is our first enemy. Okay, now we need to create more enemies like this. So let me just go inside him. Okay, so this is our first frame, and I need to go to the next frame, and I will say insert keyframe here. So we're taking the same content. Now, just to make things easier, I'm going to just flip the colors to create a second one. So let's say this one is going to have, let me select him here. Now fill color is going to be dark blue and stroke color is going to be light blue. Okay, so that just immediately creates a different type of character. Now I can just make more changes to this. Let's say I can just make this instead of a smooth shape, I can make it like so. So I have a totally different type of alien this time. Okay, and I can actually bend out all these areas, and let's say this one as well. Okay, so let me just delete one side, and I can actually duplicate to the other side instead of creating the same shape in the other side. Well, creating the same shape will be difficult, so that's what I will do. So just delete exactly right in the middle here. Okay, and I can actually get rid of this. We can create it later. Okay, so I'll select this whole thing, copy, Control C, paste, Control Shift V, okay, and flip it to the other side. And I can just move to the left side using my keyboard arrow. So move it until you see just the right point. Okay, so now you see very quickly we just changed from one enemy to the next enemy. Okay, so next let's just go ahead and insert keyframe again. Now let me choose insert keyframe because we want to have a bit of idea in terms of the size of the shape, size of the object. It's not that perfect. I can just delete this whole thing, create again. I can use the onion skin here. If you remember onion skin from a long time ago, you can use that as a reference also, just to create the shapes that you want. So this time, let's say I want to create something like a rectangular character. So maybe no legs, I can just have hands. I'll use the line tool here. Something like that. Something like that. If you're wondering how I am actually changing these tools, I'm using the control key. Okay, so just by using control key you can go from the line tool to the selection tool. Okay, so draw something like that, and you can have like a robot kind of look. Okay, and here I can, let's say, maybe have something like a hand, or have something like this, like a crab's arm. Okay, so you can have, I think we can have a reddish color for this entire character, and let's say I can have the eyes over here. Where is my circle tool? There it is. Circle. So this could be the eye, and I can connect the eye to the body like so. Okay, something like the Wall-E character. Okay, so let's say I can draw something like this for the eye, and maybe we can have some rectangular shape or spherical shape, maybe a second eye. I don't know. Okay, so copy paste, Control Shift V, Control T, not Control T, that's for Photoshop. Let's just move this down here. Okay, fine. So you can just think of different stuff. I'll just delete till half, and I just want to fill in some color here. I'm going to use red color as a color theme for this entire thing. Let's say red, this red. Okay, so fill in, red, 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 red. Maybe for the eye we can have a different color. And for stroke, what do we do? Any suggestion, guys? I think this blue itself looks nice. Or yellow? I think I'll have to select the entire stroke, double click, change the stroke color to yellow. Okay, I think that looks perfect. Maybe I'll just fill in here with white. No, white. No, it doesn't look nice. I think red looks fine. Okay, so now I can select this, copy, Control Shift V, and we can flip it by going to transform. Where is transform? There it is. So flip it to the left, move it to the side. There it is. Maybe a little more? No. Okay, so we just created 3. Like this, you can create as many as you want. It will automatically swap between the different characters. So that is our enemy. So we have 3 different types of enemies. And let me just check here. MC enemy, everything looks good. Okay, so now next thing that we want to do is we have created bullets, enemies. I think that's it. Let me just go back here in our scene. We don't need this symbol here because it will take it from the action script. Only the gun we have in our scene. Okay, now 2 last things that we need to create as the text. Now when you create the text, we need to take the text tool. Okay, better to have its own layer. You can also do it in the same layer as in the gun. So this is gun, and this is for the text. And the text is going to have this text is going to be a dynamic text. So before we create the text, let's go to properties, and by default you will see static text, but we need to change that to dynamic text. Okay, so once we change it as dynamic text, we'll be able to create a text just by clicking and dragging. Okay, so it takes the height of the text size that we have, and we can just leave it as it is. Okay, let's just click this and drag it over here, and we can actually have a default name. This is like score, I guess, and colon for now, and we need to change the font to whatever font you like. We will embed this font into the file so that the same font will be accessible from other computers as well, just by clicking on this embed. Okay, so let me just create one more text that is for ammo. So this also will be a dynamic text. AMMO, and we're just going to drop it over here. So that is also a dynamic text. We need to create instance name for these 2 texts as well. Let me just check what name is being given here. So it says score text. Copy that and paste it over here. For the score, this is the score text, and for ammo, so it is the ammo text. So I can even type it over here. It's AMMO, T capital X T. Okay, So that's all for creation or designing part of the game. I'll hit go to File and Save.